Good morning, good morning. It's another football Saturday. I'm trying to put behind me that the debacle when Michigan got clobbered by Texas. Texas, incidentally, is probably the best team in the country. You heard it here first. So I'm going to put myself through another Michigan football Saturday and been doing for longer than most of you have been born. So I do want to talk briefly about Donald Trump and his supporters. If you're one of Donald Trump's supporters, I want you to listen to me carefully. That moron, I just saw him on TV, and he's saying, you remember that ridiculous comment he made about they're killing you, they're eating your pets? And he said it with such fury and force, and Kamala Harris did exactly the right thing. She laughed at him. It's an idiotic thing to say, and untrue. So now I see him on TV, and he says, in a speech, it was in California. I know because the ocean was behind him. I know that spot. It's in Palos Verdes, as I recall. And he says, and in Springfield, Ohio, they're eating the pets. And as soon as I'm elected, I'm going to send in whatever it was. He says there's going to be a mass deportation of these thousands of illegals in Springfield who are eating people's pets. And he says, that we're going to send them back to Venezuela. Okay. A few minor things that he either should know and doesn't, which means he's a complete fool, or he's lying, which he usually is. And incidentally, what's going on now in Springfield is these people in that Haitian community are getting death threats. Does that sound familiar? Those of you who think he did nothing wrong on January 6th, he's doing the same thing. He knows he's got a bunch of followers who aren't that bright, who are angry, who are bitter, who dislike immigrants, and there's a long history of that in this country. Those of you who don't know history are going to get mad at me for talking history all the time, and then others appreciate it. But go look up the Know Nothing Party. Go look up the way that immigrants have been treated in this country as long as they've been coming here, after our Revolutionary War. They hated the Irish. They hated the Germans. They hated the Italians. They hated the Jews. Yeah, and now they hate those people who gasp are brown, or people coming from Haiti are black. They just have this anger toward immigrants. And he's out there stoking those fires, so he's going to have mass deportations. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, the Nazis did mass deportation, and I've resisted like crazy this impulse to compare Hitler and the Nazis to Trump and his MAGA people. But I'm watching a series right now that you should all watch. It's on Netflix. It's called Hitler and the Nazis, and it's based on the works of William Shirer, who wrote The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And if you haven't read that, you should read that. It describes in detail how Hitler came to power in Germany, and so much of Hitler's appeal was anti-immigrant. So we're seeing that now. And mass deportations, that's what the Germans did. We're banging on doors, pulling people out of their houses. And how's he going to do the mass deportation? He was asked that in the debate, and all he did was talk about how terrible all these illegal immigrants are. Never once said how he was going to handle a mass deportation. And I think the person asked the question said, well, are you going to go door to door? And he said, yes. And then he went on. Go door to door. What does that mean? It means he's going to go banging on doors of people who don't look the right way and send people in there to drag them out of their homes? Yeah, I mean, what does that look like? Is that America? Of course it isn't. It's ridiculous. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. But that's the way he talks. More significantly, that fires up these people who are the same, descendants of the people who treated other immigrants' populations the same way. It has nothing to do with being legal or illegal. It has to do with them not looking like these people who hate them so much. And he stirs up hatred and anger. And then that takes a certain percentage of those people and inspires them to violence. And right now, these people in the Haitian population in that city are terrified because of Donald Trump. I hate to say this, but he's an evil man. He's not just a buffoon. He's evil. He knows what he's doing to those people, and he doesn't care because he'll do or say anything to keep that base riled up so he can go back to power. And he has no plans for anybody, and I love it when people say, well, we had a great economy. You didn't have a great economy under Donald Trump. You had a great economy under Barack Obama that Trump inherited, and when he left, the economy was in shambles. And that was largely because of his mishandling of COVID. But they just say the slogans, slay the platitudes. We've got to change, correct this economy. And I'm going to deviate just slightly on this and then get back to the immigration thing. But you want to go back, you want to reverse the Biden economy? Okay, those of you who have homes, who have any kind of real estate at all, you want to take all the added value to your real estate that you obtained during the Biden administration and reduce it back to where it was when Trump left office? You want to take your stock, your shares of stock, and the increase in value that they've all received during the Biden administration, and take them back to what they were worth when Trump was finishing his presidency? I mean, just think about what you're saying. Do you want to take our productivity levels and take them back to where they were when Trump left the presidency? Do you want to take our unemployment figures and take them back to where they were when Trump left the presidency? All of those things have been tremendous boosts to our economy. Are the price of food going up? Yeah, sure. That's too bad. But that's what happens when you have a booming economy and people have more money to spend. What about the price of gasoline? We don't hear about that anymore. Why? Because the gas prices are going down, in spite of the fact that people keep driving more than ever before. So it's like this economy is great. And if anybody gets in there and messes with it and sets it back to the way it was, people will have a real reason to be upset about the economy. Enough about the economy. Let's move back to immigration. I have to do this for Ross because every time I change the subject, he forgets what we were talking about. Why? Because he's older than I am. I know. Hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, there's still about 3 or 4 people left like that. So, the mass deportation. He's going to have mass deportation of these illegals, and he calls them illegals, in Springfield, Ohio. We're going to send them back to Venezuela where they came from. Well, first place, they're Haiti. They're here from Haiti. Second place, and more significantly, they're legal. They're not illegal. They have as much right to be here as you or I or anybody else in this country. They're here legally. And so to say we're going to mass deport these people here who are there illegally means what he's really talking about is going around and grabbing a bunch of people who are here legally and sending them back where they came from. So, what is a legal immigrant? Well, almost all of the people who are here that are causing these massive movements of people are here legally. Remember Trump's remain in Mexico policy that all of his supporters say, well, look at Trump. He had them remain in Mexico. Had these illegals remain in Mexico. I hear that all the time. Trump put those illegals and made them remain in Mexico. Well, ask yourself a simple question. If they're illegal, why were they remaining in Mexico at the U.S. border? Remaining for what? If you're here illegally, you're sent back where you came from. You're not sent to a waiting platform on the border. You're just out of here. If you're here illegally. What's illegally? It means you snuck in across the border, you swam across the Rio Grande or waited or whatever you did, or from Canada, or you overstayed your visa like so many people do from Europe. Then you're not here legally. Okay? Now, when they use the word illegal, what they really mean is people who are criminals. That's what they're trying to tell you. And I don't mean criminals because they crossed the border improperly. That's a minor misdemeanor. The implication is they're smugglers, they're drug dealers, they're rapists, they're murderers, all the things that Donald Trump keeps listing when he tries to talk about it. They eat your pets. That's what he means by illegal. But as opposed to they came over here across the border, committed a minor misdemeanor when they're not supposed to. But if those people are caught, they're sent back. The people remaining in Mexico, many of the people in Haiti, are not here illegally. Why? Because they are here seeking asylum. I'm going to say that again. Next time you hear anybody talking about all these immigrants, I want you to keep the word asylum in your brain. Now here, in your brain, asylum. They're seeking asylum. That means they're refugees coming to this country seeking protection from us. And under American law, we're required, if they make a prima facie case of asylum, and the threshold is very low, and they all know what to say because the coyotes tell them what to say. They have a script. When you ask this, say this, ask this, and then you qualify for asylum, then they can't send you back because under asylum laws, you have shown that you're entitled to U.S. protection, so they're allowed in the country. This was the problem that Trump had with his remain in Mexico. He wasn't talking about illegals. He was talking about asylum seekers. And remain in Mexico for what? Remain in Mexico until they have their hearing to determine whether or not they are entitled to asylum. Well, under American law, you can't send them to a foreign country. Once they're here, you got to leave them here. So his remain in Mexico plan was illegal. It was a violation of U.S. law. Also, the U.S. law under asylum says to apply for asylum, you have to be in the country. So people who want asylum or who want to get in the country come here. They cross the border. Sometimes they cross, illegally, but then they're caught, and then they submit their asylum petition, or they just come right to the border. And they just come right to that mess of a border crossing in El Paso or in Tijuana, and they say, "I'm petitioning for asylum." You are? Okay, answer these questions. Okay, well, you qualify, and here's your name. In some cases, ankle bracelet, usually not. Let us know where you're going to be, and we'll alert you when your hearing is. They're entitled to be here. They're not illegal. They're asylum seekers. And how did we get there? Well, I know something about this because I handled a case in the United States Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit, and involving asylum claims. And guess who came in and petitioned the court on behalf of my client? Basically, it was called amicus. They came in as a friend of the court and said, we're with Ed on this. It was the United Nations. So the United Nations filed a brief and detailed the background of the asylum laws and why what the lower court had done was a violation of those asylum laws as incorporated into U.S. law. Those asylum laws came in the aftermath of World War II, particularly people concerned about all the Jews that were deported, but a bunch of other people were as well. And they were around the world seeking asylum. So the UN passed a resolution about asylum and what qualifies you for asylum and what should happen in the event somebody's petitioning for asylum. And most countries in the world, most of the Western countries, and the advanced countries took that, basically the language of the United Nations, and incorporated it into the law of their country, including the United States. And that's where we get all this broad range of ability of people to come here and seek asylum. Didn't used to do that. Didn't used to have large numbers doing it. And now we have large numbers doing it. So one of the things we need to do is change the asylum laws. I said, hello, what is that? I think I hear crickets. We need to change the asylum laws in this country to reflect the reality. And I have been beating that drum for a long time, and of course no one listens. But particularly, you know who doesn't listen? Well, the Republicans don't listen. The Republicans control the United States Congress, have for a while. Where is their bill to change the asylum laws to keep these people from coming over here en masse and being entitled to come to the country? Why haven't they done something about that? For the same reason that Trump came out and told everybody in the Republican Party, don't vote for this latest asylum, it was another asylum bill, this latest immigration bill, which basically had to do with beefing up the number of interviewers and beefing up the number of people, Border Patrol people was involved in this whole issue so that they could get hearings earlier and then move these people out of the country and bar them from coming back in. That would have been a huge step in the right direction. They voted against that because for pure politics. Trump wanted it as a campaign issue. But that still doesn't explain why they don't do anything about changing the asylum laws to, for example, require people seeking asylum to do so in an embassy of their home country or in a neighboring country outside the United States, and prohibit them from applying for asylum in the United States unless those other avenues are not available to them. That's the first change we should make in the asylum law, so we can get control over it. Nobody's saying we should have open borders. I've never heard anybody say other than Republicans saying that the Democrats are for open borders, which is nonsense. I don't know anybody saying they want open borders. But I do see these things in the law which make our borders to a large extent porous for asylum, which is legal. Not wetbacks swimming over here and violating our laws. Most of our, I don't know what most, a substantial percentage of the people who are here illegally came in legally with visas and then overstayed the visas. They're not illegal because they're not violating any criminal laws, but they're not entitled to be here either. And they're not seeking asylum. They just stay. Yeah, a lot of those come from my people, the Irish. So, which is okay there. That's the one exception we should make. So, that's it in a nutshell. This asylum thing, this immigration thing, the way Trump and the Republicans are dealing with this thing is vicious, it's inhumane, it's illegal, and it's mean. And if you can, and plus are lying. But him to say these people are here, they're a bunch of 30,000, whatever number he puts out there, illegals in Springfield, Ohio, and they're ruining the city. I heard the mayor talking about that. They're not ruining the city. In fact, what they really do is they're making that economy, because there's a scarcity of jobs. Jobs are increasing dramatically in that city. These so-called illegals, they're not, are being hired and crazy. That's why there's so many of them there, because there's jobs for them there, because they need them there, and that helps the economy. And immigration does build this economy. Right now we have a shortage of people to work, and these Republicans Trump wants to go in and take out millions of them. What do you think will happen to the economy of the United States if we lose millions of people who are here legally? Because he's not talking about throwing out illegal. He's talking about throwing out legals, mainly asylum seekers. So keep that in mind. Try to, if you're interested in this issue, keep these concepts. And I know it's a little complicated. It's not to me, because I do immigration litigation as well as other kinds of litigation. But the concepts are not that complicated. But when you're listening to these Republicans, particularly Trump, talk the way he does, please try to remember what I've told you. And I'm sick and damn tired of the way they talk about these people anyway, like they're subhuman, eating pets and cats and dogs and chickens. I heard the other day that they were accusing these people from Haiti of eating pigs. That's right, eating pigs. And somebody even chimed in and was one of these shows on Fox News where they were having all these Republicans complaining about these immigrants from Haiti, and somebody chimed in and says, "Yeah, and I've seen them, and I've even seen them eat cows." Yeah, yeah. If you believe that kind of vicious rumor mongering, but anyway, now I'm verging off into the silly, and people get mad at me when I do that. But that's kind of who I am. Sorry, not really. All right, have a good day. Go watch the games.